Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I know we have people from different time zones, so I'm happy you found time to meet me today and to talk and hopefully discuss a bit about the topic of the digital transformation of health industry. We have planned half an hour for this meeting. We're gonna start with my short presentation, and I strongly encourage you to ask questions. There's this QA mode in this Click meeting session, or you can ask the questions directly in chat. I'll try to reply as we go or during the last part of the session when there's a Q&A planned. I strongly encourage you to ask questions, to discuss, to challenge me. I hope to have a good conversation here or after the meeting in various channels to discuss more of this more complex, really complex topic. So let's go. Let's start with this presentation. I'm gonna start with a quick introduction. My name is Szymon Helios. I'm a senior UX designer and customer experience strategist at Ignite. I have vast experience in different projects, though recently I've been working quite a lot with the pharma industry, but this is not my only expertise. My last projects were a digital training app for one of the pharmaceutical leaders, service desk experience for a non-profit organization, and a web application for marine industry. The reason I'm mentioning this different type of project is that I strongly believe that with the topic of digital transformation, no matter the industry or the discipline, it's good to learn the best practices from other areas of business. And that's one of my plans for today, to share not only my experience from pharma or healthcare industry, but also from other branches or other industries that are applicable, because there are some principles I found valuable for all the topics. So, but just to clarify, let's start with a really short definition of a digital transformation process. I think I found around 200 of different ones on the web. I decided to go with the one with the Salesforce. I think it's quite clear and understandable that digital transformation is the process of using digital technologies to create new or modify existing business processes, culture, and customer experience to meet changing business and market requirements. What I think is essential in this definition is the part when we talk about creating or modifying existing. There's a common trend or the way of thinking that digital transformation always requires creating something new, and quite often that it means exactly the same as innovation. And this is something, I think that's one clarification that's very important, that transformation doesn't have to mean innovation. There's an enormous pressure on the organizations, on the companies, on teams to be innovative, to apply all of the new fancy technologies, buzzwords, AI, machine learning, recognitions, cognitive services. There's a huge pressure on that, and of course, it's valuable to apply them when it makes sense, when it's doable, when it's possible. But referring to transformation only to be innovative, I think it doesn't make any sense. And innovation can happen with small steps, with small improvements, and with making things better, not only building from scratch. And what kind of decision you should make and how to approach it. This is one of the topics I would like to discuss and share my thoughts on today. In the description, I promised that I'm going to point out to some challenges that we all face in the digital transformation process. So probably some of them might apply to your organizations, or you might have a different set of challenges that you need to face in your daily operations. I would like to point out to the most common one that I see and witness in different organizations. So I consider them to be quite common. So the first one, and I'm going to go back to it later also, is that it's a perceived and implemented as a top-down process, so that the digital transformation comes always as an input from the top management and top, let's say, key stakeholders from the company, and that it's being just basically pushed down the whole organizations, which I think is challenging, and of course, and it ends up with a lot of barriers of adoption. When it comes as a as a top-down approach, it's kind of hard to find the applicable and those realistic daily things you can do to become more transformative in your organization. So there are plenty of blockers on the way. Quite often, when you think about digital transformation, it's hard to point how to measure the progress and how to measure success. Quite often, it's hard to even figure out at which stage of digital transformation you currently are. Should you speed up the process? Should you speed up the pace, or are you on track? This is challenging because there are no common factors or other elements that will allow you to find you on that, let's say, on that axis of transformation from the fully digital transfer to the fully developed transformed company. Transformation, especially when we talk about, of course, digital part. So we are implementing more digital tools. It requires specific skill set, which is hard to find on the market, both for the companies like Ignite when we look for new talents, but also for big organizations that want to get on board the new skill set on within the organization. It consumes lots of resources, mostly in terms of timing. I know you guys are all super busy with your daily operations, no matter the department you work, and having another project and working on another topic. That's one of the key challenges that we also often hear from our customers. Your IT departments are super busy, and there's a lot of projects going on. So it's quite often hard to start a new one, especially a complex one. And there are, of course, technological limitations. All of the companies we've been working on in our career, or at least, let's say, majority of them, they have already bigger or smaller, but rather complex systems already implemented. So there's the technology, there's this specific tech stack that you work with, and sometimes generating new solutions, new features, or new platforms, whatever you decide to do. Doing this within this technology system can be challenging and can be limited. There are some barriers coming straight from the technology. So this is, and so those, of course, as I mentioned, there are probably more and more barriers that you face, but we consider this one to be the really important. But no matter what we talk about, how much we talk about the challenges, transformation, it's still inevitable. You will face it at a specific. If you didn't start yet, you will be challenged with that in a coming future. So the question is how to tackle it. First, I would like to suggest a small change of mindset. As I mentioned as the first challenge, that is perceived and implemented as a top-down process. I think that's something that can be reversed, or you can have another process that's not I have an issue with a slide, not going top down, but going from the bottom or from the middle up. So the digital transformation can be implemented on a level of your department, on a lower level of your organization, when you are closer to very specific, tangible issues or challenges that you need to face, the features you want to improve, or all the elements that can make you more dynamic, more digital, and more user-centered, and faster in your operations. So I believe that once we not necessarily replace the top-down process, but create a separate one, which is more rooted in the daily operations, I think that the implementation and the outcome of this type of digital transformation has more impact and helps you to create better rituals and more tangible approach to implementing new features. So I promised you those 5 steps how to approach this process in health industry. Though, as I mentioned, I'm also taking the best practices from other topics. So let's jump into them and talk more about the details. So I framed this in the 5 steps. The first one, it's more like tasks for you, and not only for you personally, but also for the team that's responsible for a project that has the digital transformation mindset within. So first, you need to pick your battle. You need to gather the right team. Then you need to have an agreement on a vision, create rituals, and after that, or even in the middle of the process, share your wins and losses with your organization or with other teams that are working on a similar subject or with a specific mindset. So let's dive into details of those elements. So first, you want to pick your battle. But I mean, and this is referring to the reversing the mindset. So you don't start with the top-down approach, but you look for improvements and those elements that can be transformed around your daily operations. So you can select your business area that you want to improve, and it doesn't have to be always something that's customer orientated or that you're working on a feature that's connected or directed towards your customers. It can be internal process, which is also valuable, and you can also easily track the improvement, and you have a lot of knowledge about those processes, so you have a good starting point to work with them. So that can be sales, that can be organization, training. Digital training is a key part of the current operations that we also face at our company. So, and you want to look for something that gives impact and that you actually see the change. I mentioned earlier that it's hard to track the progress and see the positive outcomes. So you want to look for something that can be smaller, but that gives you bigger chance to measure it, to value it, and to see and to learn on it, because that's what you want to do. You want to not only deliver new quality, you also want to learn from that process. So when you pick your battle, the scaling is crucial. So you don't have to start with something big, and it doesn't have to be innovative. If it is innovative to a various degree, then it's fine, it's perfect. I don't want to discourage you for that, but I think you don't have to consider innovation as a principle for being a transformative organization or transformative team. And if this is your first project, it's it's best to keep it simple. You are pioneering. Think about as this project that this is a pilot, and you're gonna learn a lot of it. The second step is I'm recommending is to gathering the right team. It's applicable to all industries, but I think it's super important within the healthcare industry in general. Of course, there's you might have some specific requirements, and you probably need to you could onboard more and more people to this project. But what I recommend from our experience from projects like that is to have at least those 4 persons or 4 roles in your team that you want to consult and work with from the very beginning. So first, quite often in the processes, the tech IT department is involved at the, let's say, later / sometimes last stage of the process. And that's going to be very challenging. So, because whenever you come up with, then you need to face the tech requirements and the tech stack and also the tech limitations of your organization. And the sooner you onboard someone from the IT, someone who knows the system, someone who knows how to scale the system or connect the system, is going to be better for you and better for the process and your whole solution. The second one, that's probably no-brainer, a project manager, because someone who's going to keep on track. There's going to be a lot of meetings, a lot of discussions, a lot of decision-making. So someone that's responsible for managing the operation. That's essential. The third role, I call it the interviewer. That's someone who is really good in talking to people and asking the right questions. It doesn't. I don't think there's a role, a specific role in your company like that. But there's always someone that has good contact with people and has the ability, the skill to get lots of information from either from your customers, if you're planning a process that's related with your end customer, or someone that's good in handling internal relationships within your organization, that can learn more from different actors and people involved in a process that you want to improve, create, or change in any way. So that's a role that's not really kind of obvious, but it's good to have someone who not only has skills but also has time. Arranging meetings, discussions, taking notes, and getting insights of all those discussions, that's going to take time and requires a specific skill set. And last but not least, it's the legal department. It's sometimes a similar situation as with a tech IT. You approach the legal department at the latest or later stage of the process, and that quite often disrupts the whole idea, because there are plenty of regulations also depending on different markets and countries. So what I recommend and what was beneficial in our projects was to involve the legal representative from the scratch and consider him as or her as part of your team. So then you are more solution orientated and have the problem solving approach, which definitely can save you a lot of time and challenges at the later stage of the process. So so what you want to do, you want to work as a team from day one. As I mentioned, these are not all the people you need on board, but I would recommend them as essentials, and sometimes there's a tendency that we forget to involve them from the very beginning. So then what I recommend you to do is agree internally as a team. Of course, this is related also to stakeholders, to business owners, but as a team, agree on the vision. What you answer some just a couple of basic questions. What do you want to improve? Why do you want to improve it? Who's going to benefit from that? And what's really important, how you're going to measure the success. Sometimes the measurement can be quite easy. Okay, we're going to limit the number of questions or queries popping up at our service desk. But in some cases, finding the right KPIs can be difficult, but setting them up on the very beginning will allow you to have a good reference point in your discussions, how you want to implement that change and what do you want to transform at your company. What is also, I believe, super important at this stage, that you are creating a vision. You are not creating a solution. We, as humans in general, we have a tendency to come up with a solution. We learn something new, that there's a technology, there's a feature, there's an app, there's something that's already delivered, and that it's easy to visualize and understand, and we want to implement it as a solution. But means that we are narrowing our ideas. We are focusing on a feature and not on a problem-solving approach. So when you work with a vision, then you leave yourself more space to come up with sometimes not only different solutions to your problem, but they might be more simple. There might be other better ways to fix your challenge, to fix the issue, and to answer to your needs. So that vision-oriented, not solution-oriented approach proves to give really great results, and it is challenging, because also on our Ignite side, we, as I mentioned, as humans, we have a tendency to think from the solution perspective, but the vision gives you more and more flexibility, and can benefit in the end. And the solution, of course, will come up anyways. But just let's not focus on something really specific on the day one from the very beginning. So and there's the fourth step. If you are team that just started work on innovation, you need to create some rituals. They might be already at your organization. If not, you need to have them in place. You need to meet and talk often. You want to, and as a whole team, those discussions are beneficial, and to better understand the challenge and where you are in the challenge, that's crucial. You need to create some space for improvements and ways to figure out, are we on track? And what I can maybe not promise, but what can happen is that you have to pivot in the middle of the process. The good it's connected with thinking from the vision perspective, not the solution perspective. Be ready to change in the middle of the process. You want to solve a problem. You want to solve. You want to answer to a challenge, and you shouldn't be focused on delivering exact solution. If in the middle of the process you decide, okay, we need to change something, this will not work, or something will work better, that's only natural in those type of processes. And making that step back is and having the ritual and the whole mindset of making that step back and changing something on the way. This is something that's from my perspective, the foundation of the transformation that is valuable and can stick for long. So this is So that's I think that's and that's quite often. And you if you don't have the procedure for that, or you don't have a plan for that, you should think about it. What at the very beginning of the process, what will you do if in the middle of the implementation we'll have an important discovery that requires us to change the approach. And the last one, which I think is not only important in terms of digital transformation projects, but in general, share your wins and losses with other teams around the company. You want to learn, and you want these learnings to be distributed all across the other departments. So, because that's how I believe that the transformation mindset is built, that you learn from each other, and you know that, okay, this is a complex process and not a simple delivery from 0 to 1. And this is how the innovative and transformative culture is being built. So this drives the adoption. If you share, then this creates a different mindset and an approach around the company to understand what digital transformation is and what does it mean when you actually do it on daily basis. So I believe that those 5 steps will put you in a right moment to start. So you know what you're doing, you have a team, you have a vision, you know how you're going to manage the process, and you are ready for sudden changes and updates, and you communicate what you're doing around the company to get support, but also to explain people, your peers, your colleagues, your management, your stakeholders, why things are happening this way and what is beneficial in it. And in this case, I mentioned the challenges earlier. I believe this approach will help you to overcome at least part of the challenges that you're going to face. Because when the issue of the process being a process organized as top down, yeah, we can fix that if we can start from the say more rooted level. The barriers for adoption are different because you work on the same level and you share with other teams. You select a project and agree on something that gives you impact, that's measurable, and that can provide success. The skill set, that's a tricky part. You might require some input from third parties or other organizations, but you might find someone around the organization that's already experienced with let's see, at least part of the tasks that they need to face. So it's good to build teams that are more cross organization from cross department teams. That can be a good improvement for your ways of work. The resource consuming, you can limit the number of unexpected events that could make the process last longer, but the initial time and effort needed to run those processes, that's something that you need to have that you can't just get easily rid of that. And there are the technological limitations. You can partially limit the surprises, the number of surprises or the challenges if you have the IT person from the very beginning, because then you need to start shaping the solution and shaping the vision, the solution, with having in mind of what are your restrictions and limitations, and there are ways to overcome them. I'm going to refer to it in a second. So and also a couple of tips and tools that I think that these are the part of the transformation process, that some skill set and tool set that can be useful, and it's good to think about it when you plan your operations, especially if you start the process. That could be part of your routine. So the first one is that's always research. Whether you do internal or external project, there's a lot of things to learn from even the existing documents, like analytics, observation of the process, some industry reports, and interviews with customers, system operators, stakeholders. Of course, this depends on who you focus on, who's your target group, who's your audience in your digital transformation project. The second tool you want to have a look at is the customer journey and customer journey mapping. This is a great tool that keeps you user focused and builds alignment around your team, and is a great source of insights. In simple words, you envision a very specific journey of your selected actors. There's one specific scenario that you tackle, and then you interview, you build a story, you get a knowledge, you get insights, and you can easily create the vision out of it, not the solution, the vision, and you can reply to the needs of this specific group. So that would be a good foundation. And using that, what you next to, and your IT department is going to be super happy that you started working this way. Then you're going to build a service blueprint that matches the customer journey that I just mentioned on the previous slide, but it's presenting what's happening on the back end of the system, what's happening with all the system that you have in place or that you miss, and you need to develop them to better understand, to deliver this journey, to create this new digitally transformed solution. What you also want to look at is how your company is open and experienced with agile processes. When you work in iterations and work in a specific mindset, incorporating even the basics of this approach definitely going to help you also if you cooperate with third parties or with other providers, because most of the companies work this way. I've been recently in a project when there was like agile process evangelist onboarded, and that person was responsible for building those rituals around the organization, and it was great person to work with, because we've been part of adopting the new processes in the company. And the last thing that you might find useful is to have a look at the digital experience platforms. Still not a solution maybe, but most like a mindset. In most of the projects when we've been challenged with a quite fixed and closed technical stack that was not really open or easy to build on top or to scale. We've been using approach when we've been connecting existing systems with other tools, with the full focus on security and data handling. That's a kind of a foundation of this approach. But we've been involved in projects when we've been building new solutions that kind of integrate with what you already have as an organization. So yes, so that was a quick one. So it's 3:30. If you have any questions, or you feel free to ask them now, or if you want to ask the questions later, we are open to continue this discussion. I would like to hear from you. What are your experiences? What are your challenges? Your knowledge and your daily experiences are super crucial for us also to understand the the other challenges that we might not be aware of in this process. So I like strongly encourage you to to get in touch with us. If not through the Q&A session, you can also reach to us on noahignite.co UK. We have a form called Book a Free Consultation. You can meet with me or tech advisor or anyone who's applicable or needed in a specific type of project, and discuss what could be your challenges in the in the digital transformation or other type of digital processes that you are facing, and maybe you'd like to have a sparring partner for discussions to better prepare to your project. And if you should have any questions after that, please feel free to reach me on LinkedIn. I'm very responsive, and it's for me it's always a pleasure to to discuss these topics with you guys, being involved in those really challenging process in your operations. So one more thing, we'll be sending this presentation in the coming days, and if you feel, as I mentioned, if you feel that there's a topic that you like to discuss, or you have a maybe different approach, then I'll be more than happy to hear from you. So thank you for sharing your time with us, and looking forward to be in touch. And I hope you find it valuable. If you think that there's something missing in this webinar, and you would like to maybe add something, so we can in the future we can have a more complex and broader approach to that. Also, please drop me a line. It's always a pleasure to hear feedback. So thank you very much, and have a good day, and let's be in touch. Bye.